Happy 4th of July! Oh, I kind of thought this thing was going to make a noise. I guess I could just edit it in post and pretend that it happened. How's everyone doing? It's a scorcher out there, so I hope you've been drinking lots of water, putting on sunscreen. I have not. Today, we're going to talk about Marina. No, not that Marina, that one. I feel like this is a bad framing device. Happy Independence Day. Let's talk about a British artist. I even bought this little hat for the bit. And now that I have it on though and I can see myself, I fear it's giving MAGA.
But man, we sure did learn a lot in that Walmart.
So we just wrapped up discussion on Marina's second album, Electra Heart, and I thought it'd be fun to go back in time to the beginning and talk about her debut album, The Family Jewels. And you know, now that I think about it, it's kind of funny how the timing of this video works out, because The Family Jewels actually has a lot to say about American culture. It kind of makes sense that we're talking about this album so close to the 4th of July, the quintessential American holiday, even if I didn't plan it that way. I don't really plan much of anything. I kind of just roll out of bed, turn the camera on, and see what happens. Something I said in the last video is that Marina is an artist who has lasting cultural relevancy, and I feel like there's no better example of that than this album, especially because of how many sounds from The Family Jewels have gone viral on TikTok.
I am not a robot. One track mind, one track heart. If I fail, I'll fall apart. Higher, cheaper, don't you see? Baby, nothing comes for free. They say I'm a control freak, driven by greed to succeed. Nobody can stop me.
Oddly, a number of these songs have gone viral on Study Talk, which is a sub-community of TikTok geared towards students, people in academia. Given the themes present in The Family Jewels, that makes me a little uncomfortable. The lyrics reference things like workaholism, low self-esteem, unhealthy coping mechanisms, which, somebody checking on Study Talk, they're not okay. I can't actually quantify which of Marina's albums have truly gone the most viral on TikTok. Electra Heart, for example, has certainly had its moment, but it definitely seems like The Family Jewels is at the top of the list. And I'm curious why that is. Why does this album in particular still connect with listeners today? What are some of the messages that are connecting with audiences, and what can we take away from that? And if The Family Jewels has staying power nearly 15 years after its initial release, what, if anything, can it tell us about the future of pop music? That's what I'm going to try to talk about today. So sit back. What was that? So sit back, crack open a Diet Coke, and let's polish The Family Jewels.
I know exactly what I want and who I want to be. I know exactly why I woke and talk like a machine. I'm now becoming my own self-fulfilled prophecy. Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Part 1. Mermaid vs. Sailor. Trigger warning. MySpace. Before we go through The Family Jewels, I want to briefly touch on Marina Diamandi's life prior to being signed to a major record label. Oh, speaking of that, I've been watching a lot of Marina interviews because of this video, and I realized I've been pronouncing her name wrong my entire life.
And where does the name Diamonds come from? It's from your sort of a take on your surname as well, isn't it?
My surname in Greek is Diamanti, which means diamonds.
Diamandi? Diamandi? This is just like when I found out that Ariana Grande's last name is pronounced like Grandy.
My grandpa said Grandy.
So in 2006, after moving to London, signing up for university, and then dropping out of university, Marina created a MySpace page under the moniker of Marina and the Diamonds. She posted several songs to her MySpace page, and she began gaining an audience, but she worked with an unknown producer at the time and did not like the production on her songs.
I started producing my own songs in 2007, and up until then I had been writing since 2005, but I had the wrong producers and they just made me sound awful, like some prog rock bands, and which I wasn't. And so that allowed me to express myself the way that I could, even if it wasn't on a very crass level. So that was the moment that people kind of started listening.
She ended up learning how to play piano and used GarageBand to produce her first EP, Mermaid vs. Sailor, which she released in 2007. The EP contains 6 songs, 3 of which would later go on to be reworked when Marina signed to her label, and the album artwork is the most 2007 thing I've ever seen. My friend pointed out that it looks like it was made in Picnic. That's a throwback. Comment below if you remember Picnic. It also sort of reminds me of Blingy, which all of the scene kids would use to create these sparkly monstrosities. Good times. Look, you saw the MySpace trigger warning, so if you're cringing right now, you only have yourself to blame. The album was produced entirely independently, and Marina distributed a small batch of handmade CDs that she sold via PayPal. I wasn't aware of this EP at the the time. I wasn't really a MySpace kid. I mean, I had a page, it's just I spent all of my time on Gaia Online. Let's not talk about that. So I listened to the EP for the first time as part of making this video. I honestly expected to listen to these songs and not like them. I kind of thought it would be like that feeling that I get when I look back at old drawings that I did from 2 years ago and cringe about how amateurish they are. But no, the songs are good. The closing track, Plastic Rainbow, which as I understand it is the first song that Marina has ever made, stands out as one of my favorites. You can really tell how much raw talent Marina had when you listen to Mermaid vs. Sailor. So it's no wonder she was discovered just a few months after this release. As reported in a Vice article, in 2008, Derek Davies, the founder of the Neon Gold record label, found Marina's demos on MySpace. She just had something that really resonated with me. Even with the quite limited production of her early bedroom demos, she had this powerful yet vulnerable vocal and writing style that didn't sound like anyone else at the time. Davies organized Marina's first live show. An Atlantic Records employee was in the audience, and then the label signed Marina. Thank you, Derek Davies. Oh my god, he's kinda hot. After signing with 679 Recordings, Marina began to work on her first album. Part 2, The Visuals. So Marina's first official single was Obsessions, which she released in 2008, not through her label 679 Recordings, but through Neon Gold, Derek Davies' label. As explained in an interview with Nile or 9, how did you hook up with Neon Gold? It's a great little label. Derek wrote about me on Good Weather for Airstrikes, his blog, back in March 2008. Then, in September, he told me he was setting up a label. In October, I got signed, then I asked if I could do the first single with him. And everyone thought it was a lovely idea, and we all lived happily ever after. I just think that's really sweet. We also got a music video for Obsessions, and guys, when I was doing my research for this video, this was my Mandela effect moment. For those unaware, the term Mandela effect refers to a false memory experienced by multiple people. So in other words, multiple people all remembering the exact same event, but that event never actually happened. It takes its name from Nelson Mandela, whom hundreds of people have all reported they remember dying in the 1980s while in prison, when in fact, he went on to become the first president of South Africa in the 90s and didn't actually pass away until 2013. I want to be clear that this isn't just people thinking he died. Like, this isn't a case of just being mistaken. This is people specifically having memories of this thing happening. It could mean that they remember seeing it on TV, that they remember reading about it in a newspaper. But my personal favorite example of a Mandela effect involves the Berenstain Bears. So, the Berenstain Bears is a children's fiction book series featuring a family of anthropomorphized bears, and many people, including myself, remember the title of this book being spelled as Berenstain Bears with an E, but it is in fact spelled, and has always been spelled, as Berenstain Bears with an A. This change seems so minute and inconsequential, we're literally talking about a single letter here, but this discrepancy between Berenstain and Berenstain has spawned some interesting discussion. And then I saw the book covers. The ones in the squiggly bubble letters from the childhood. The ones I saw 100 times a month from the formative ages of 5 to 9. The ones that every 20-something in the world will tell you read Berenstain Bears. Except they don't read Berenstain. They read Berenstain. They all say it. At first I thought they had changed their name. Maybe anti-Semitic pressure led them to spell their name differently? And then maybe they doctored the image of the cover to turn the original E into an A. Except as I read, I learned about people equally as shocked as I am, who ran to their parents' house and dug up their own copies of the book and saw, to their own great terror, that the physical book itself no longer says Berenstain, but in fact says Berenstain. But more horrifying still is that it has always said Berenstain. Here's the thing. These books play such a huge role in the collective memories of so many people, all of whom clearly and distinctly remember Berenstain, that I am not the first to propose the notion that somehow, at some time in the last 10 years or so, reality has been tampered with and history has been retroactively changed. I would like to make a modest proposal. We are all living in our own parallel universe. Now, you might have just a couple of objections to this theory, like for example, maybe we all just misread the name. This doesn't really disprove my hypothesis. All it means is that those people are from Universe A. Objection 2. The Berenstains themselves insist the name has always been spelled Berenstain. Very shortly after I published my blog post, I received a comment signed Mike Berenstain. I normally don't comment on blogs about our family name, but yours was so unusual and imaginative that I thought it only appropriate to add my thoughts. Berenstain, according to our family lore, was an attempt by an unknown immigration officer sometime in the late 1800s to reproduce phonetically a highly accented version of the traditional Jewish name Bernstein, as pronounced by my father's grandparents when they came to America from the Ukraine. At the time the post was published, my blog was very small and private. I received, at most, 5 hits a day, most of them from malware sites. Most of my traffic was a handful of friends. Mike's comment is actually the first comment ever made on this blog. Before that, my friends would just message me on Facebook if they had anything to say about a post. Some people in some threads have pointed out that it is suspicious that the son of Stan and Jan Berenstain would just happen to find my blog the day it was published and comment on it. Maybe it was one of my friends? None of them have ever owned up to it, and my friends aren't the sort who play pranks on me. Oh, it was definitely one of his friends. Jesus, how did I even get onto this topic? Isn't this a video about the family jewels? Right, Mandela effect. So my personal Mandela effect. Hand to God, I remember there being a different music video for Obsessions. It was very simple. Marina's playing piano. She's wearing the same outfit that she's wearing in the actual music video. And I remember there being this sort of like artistic sketch style imagery of Marina walking in the supermarket. I can't find any evidence of this actually being a thing, and I have zero memory of the actual music video. I think I'm going insane. The second music video we get is for I Am Not a Robot, and we get some really great makeup artistry with several looks, like this one, or this one. Green Lantern, but make it mid-century modern. I especially love this starry galaxy look. Big shout out to the makeup artist for this music video, Linda Orstrom, because these looks are pretty cool. The only other thing I want to point out about this music video is that there's this one part where Marina shakes her head aggressively, and it makes me giggle.
I let the drum beat drop.
Gorgeous.
The third music video we get is for Mowgli's Road, which teeters into surrealism. It features Marina singing and dancing as her legs, arms, and even torso are replaced by this accordion-style folded paper. Girl, what the fuck am I looking at? The effect is pretty cool though. They had puppeteers in these white bodysuits controlling the fake appendages, and then they edited out those people in post. Funny enough, when I was reading the Marina wiki about this music video, apparently there are a lot of Marina fans who remember a behind-the-scenes Mowgli's Road video, but there's no actual evidence of this video ever existing. The Mandela effect strikes again. There it was again. Did you guys hear that? Do you ever feel like you're losing your grip on reality? The fourth music video, and my favorite of the pack, is Hollywood, and it's got it all. The vintage cheerleader outfit, evocative set design, and oh my god, her hair looks so good. That was a bit much.
I'm gonna come.
The last two music videos, Oh No and Champagne, also serve as the final singles from the album. I would describe Oh No as having a sort of old-timey comic book vibe. It's vibrant and colorful, there's a lot of momentum in it. Also, Oh No features what is quite possibly my favorite Marina lyric of all time.
TV taught me how to feel. Now real life has no appeal.
It's so good. She's a poet. Coincidentally, this lyric is also basically the plot of I Saw the TV Glow. The music video for Champagne is a stark contrast to Oh No, featuring Marina and a number of women staggering down the dark streets with runny eyeliner. I'm kind of ashamed to admit that this music video was my realization that this song is probably about alcoholism. Need I remind you, the song is literally called Champagne. Okay, let's talk about the album now. Part 3.
I know exactly what I want and who I want to be.
So The Family Jewels was released... You drink my Diet Coke. The Family Jewels was released on February 10th, 2010 to widespread fan acclaim, although it was not quite as well received among critics. Reviews were generally favorable, but my god, some of these were brutal. Joe Rivers of No Ripcord writes, "This means that her rise from obscurity to first album proper has involved determination and hard work, and my word, doesn't she want you to know it. The main lyrical themes of The Family Jewels are Marina, Marina, and a little more Marina." Sean O'Neill of AV Club writes, "Diamandi's songs, full of sugary synthesizer whirls and theatrical pomp, often come across as tongue-in-cheek performance art pieces masquerading as mindless electro fluff, with Marina returning again and again to the narrative of her own success, a tale that's obviously a trifle premature. Of course, that famous for being famous moxie has yielded triumph for some. The trouble is, Diamandi isn't entirely sure what she wants to be famous for yet. Needless to say, that overbearing need to prove herself just ends up being exhausting. But the lady doth protest too much. There are hints of the darker, weirder dance floor diva she wants to be." Okay, that last line is weirdly prophetic considering her follow-up album. Critics can be brutal. I wish that these people would try to keep in mind that the music that people make takes a lot of time and energy and effort and love to create. And I know I'm saying that as a Marina fan, but to be clear, I am not a die-hard Marina fan. I'm not somebody who thinks that she can do no wrong. There are skippable tracks on The Family Jewels. Looking at you, guilty. An interesting fact about this album that I think is worth pointing out is that the song Oh No almost was not on the album.
Well, I have added an extra track to my album called Oh No,
I did it actually after the album got mastered, just because I really wanted it on there. It's everything that I wish to be, sonically and lyrically.
It's crazy to think how such a small decision can be hugely impactful, because Oh No in particular went so viral on TikTok that Marina changed the name of the music video from Oh No to Oh No.
I feel like I'm the worst, so I always act like I'm the best.
And there are also some covers that she did around this time, which are, well, so she did a cover of Starstruck. You know it, the song that goes,
Ice legs, Daisy Dukes, makes a man go.
and the cover sounds like this.
Nice legs, Daisy Dukes, makes the man go ooh, ooh.
She also covered a Gwen Stefani song, What You Waiting For.
Take a chance, you stupid hoe. Like a nickel pedal, you're a beating soul.
Marina, that's insulting. Get out of my house.
Okay, bye!
Okay, that's enough negativity. There is a really good cover that she did around this time called Space in the Woods, originally performed by UK band Late of the Pier, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention the track Sinful. Oh my god. So Sinful was actually supposed to be a bonus track on the Family Jewels, but for whatever reason they didn't put it on there. I'm kind of nervous about playing it here, even though somebody posted it on YouTube and it's been up for 11 years now. But given that, as I said, this song has been live on YouTube for well over a decade now, I'm gonna risk it and play a snippet.
I lost my spine inside the center of the stars.
It's so good, you should go listen to it. Actually, no. What you should really do is go tweet Marina and tell her to release this song. As far as I know, she's finally parted ways with her label, and if you like this song after listening to it, I don't know if she's going to realize how much fans want it unless people actually tell her. Besides, then she can put it up on streaming and get some revenue for this music. So, I want to return to the questions that I posed at the beginning of this video. Why is this album reconnecting with people so many years later? Well, when I think of TikTok in particular, it's kind of hard to crack how songs on there blow up. Some other artists that come to mind as having a resurgence because of TikTok are Patrice Rushen and Sade. Now, with Patrice Rushen, it's a little bit more complicated because basically every 10 years, the world remembers that the song Forget Me Nots exists and then it blows up again. Kids nowadays know about Forget-Me-Nots because of TikTok, but I think that people of my generation know Forget-Me-Nots because Men in Black did some kind of parody song of Forget-Me-Nots. I don't know if that's an accurate description of what happens in the movie. I've never seen Men in Black. I'm just a fan of Patrice Rushen. The thing is, though, that Sade and Patrice Rushen and Marina and the Diamonds have basically nothing in common except they're all women. I think that the lyrics are the real reason that these songs still resonate with people today. Take the lead single Obsessions, for example. The lyrics definitely say a lot about obsessive-compulsive behaviors, and some doctors have pointed out that OCD appears to be on the rise, some of them attributing that to COVID. Obsessions didn't chart at all when it came out, but I actually think it would chart pretty highly if it were to come out today. You've also got songs like Hollywood and Oh No, which touch on themes of commercialism, striving for success, a simultaneous fascination with and disdain for celebrity culture, struggles with mental health and self-love. This is all very relatable. It's also pretty deep stuff for a pop record to handle, and if it says anything at all about the future of pop, I think it means that audiences are hungry for more depth in pop music, and I hope that's something that we see more of going forward. Part 4, the Electra Heart Addendum. So I've been doing some thinking, you know, evaluating my life choices, reflecting on how I'm part of the problem, and I realized that I have more to say about Electra Heart. Now, candidly, that video was a rush job. I had a vision, but I also had a self-imposed deadline, and I was not going to compromise on my deadline. That led to some sloppy work on my end. In that video, something I talked about was the disconnected release strategy between single and music video. It is my opinion that this music video is where we begin to see Marina falter commercially. Power and Control was the second single off the album, but the single was inexplicably released 2 months after the music video. Then, when I was working on the video that you're watching now, I noticed the same thing with the single I Am Not a Robot. So the music video for that was released in June 2009, but then the single wasn't released until April 2010. When I saw this, I was kind of losing my mind, and I was fully prepared to rehash that talking point, so thank God I got this comment on my Electra Heart video. Just to add a bit of context, the whole releasing a single 2 months after release thing for Power and Control, it wasn't Marina specific. It was nearly every UK single release up until 2014 because of the power of radio premieres in the UK. The idea was that the song would be on pre-order for a month or two to ensure a higher peak on the more volatile UK charts. This happened even for Western pop stars. For example, Roar by Katy Perry came out 1 month after its release in America in the UK. This, however, came to a head in 2015 when a cover of Uptown Funk reached the #1 spot before the actual song was even released. Thank you to this commenter. Honestly, this makes sense. I don't know. This might seem like a weird thing to some people to issue an addendum on, but I don't want somebody to watch my Electra Heart video and then go around to people in real life saying,
Actually, the real reason that Electra Heart didn't do well is because of the disconnected release strategy.
maybe it's harmless, but this is how misinformation spreads, and I'm not in the business of spreading misinformation, unless it's funny. In any case, charts aren't always a surefire way of telling whether a song is successful or not, especially today with the rise of streaming. Secondly, I made a joke in that video about how the scrapped songs that leaked were trash. Some fans were disappointed that the album didn't include any unreleased material that she worked on at the time. I heard the leaks. I don't think we're missing out. You sure you listened to the same Eternity and Scab and Plaster like the rest of us? So this piqued my interest for a couple of reasons. One is that I specifically remember hating Scab and Plaster. But two is because I didn't recognize the song Eternity. So I pulled up and perused through my super secret Marina folder, found the unreleased songs, loaded them into Apple Music, and had a listen. And I am happy to report that they're all solid tracks. Eternity is probably my favorite of the bunch. Maybe Double Life. Don't get me wrong, I like Sinful more than all of the scrap songs from Electra Heart, but they each have something special in them, and I feel like they would only need a couple of minor tweaks in production, maybe some lyrical changes. Oh, and I remembered the last thing that I wanted to say about Electra Heart. I finally remembered that song that I couldn't remember the name of. So back in 2013, Marina did a collaboration with a singer named Crap, I think the power went out. Is that perfect?
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay.
I mean, it's terrifying. I'm so scared of these fruits.
Good, be scared. Be scared of the fruit.